All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Before we get started today, I just want to thank Chexy for sponsoring the show. If you don't know what Chexy is, it's an all-in-one encompassed wallet where you can get cashback, Amex points, or Airplan points if you pay rent. So you basically just connect your rent payments to the wallet and you get to actually gain points for it. So if that interests you, click the first link down below in the description. You can go to their website. You can see which credit card might work best for you or how your credit card would perform right now if you were to use it. And yeah, rent's a big expense. So if you guys want to gain some points, go ahead and do that. Anyways, Brooke, there's a lot going on. We missed last week. So quickly, last week, we all know Mark Carney got in as the Liberal leader, and it looks like an election is going to be called on Sunday. And then it looks like we're going to head to the polls either April 28th or March 5th. So it's kind of like campaign mode for everyone.
I'm surprised how much Mark Carney has kind of been an exponential poll leader.
Yeah, I know. It's tough with these polls. So I was talking to Brooke before we got here, and when you look at these mainstream polls, my understanding is like they'll call people's houses and like they'll get a sample that way.
Too.
Yeah. How old are you?
And text. They do text a lot too.
I've never gotten any, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know.
I've gotten many texts.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. I've never gotten anything. So I don't know.
Imagine the person on the receiving end of those text messages. My sister used to work for the Weather Network, and the receiving end of asking people feedback used to be violent.
Yeah.
I can only imagine how violent the texts are when they ask if you're voting Liberal or something like that.
I know. So I put a poll on our Instagram, and we'll get into kind of the demographics of it. And it was basically just like, it was a poll. It was Pierre was a little bit ahead of Carney in this one poll. And I just said, who do you have? And it was just a story. And we had a lot of people respond.
How many voters?
Let me see. Because usually the voting is around 1,000. Like every time I look at these polls online,
okay,
it's about 1,000. So we had 1,367 votes for Pierre Poilievre, which was 77%. Mark Carney got 314 votes, which was 18%. Jagmeet Singh got 2%. He got 30 votes.
Oh, really?
And then none of the above got 54 votes, so 3% of the votes. So it's heavily on Pierre. Now, I'm looking at our following. Obviously, we aren't CBC. We're not the mainstream news, so we attract a different type of person, which I think is more young people. If you look at our analytics, it's more like 25 to 35. I think some of these polls are probably like who's sitting at home during the day and being able to answer a call. It's probably you're 60 plus, you're retired. And that's what the polls are showing, is that I saw an interesting graph today that young people are in favor of conservatives. Makes sense. You can't afford a house, food, your dream of having kids is pretty challenging right now. Immigration, homelessness, I could keep going. And then, if you're 60, 65 plus, the house is looking pretty good. The value of it,
yeah.
You've made some really good money in your life. If you worked at, any of the big Canadian companies like a bank, you've done really well. And I think one of the biggest motivators right now is that people have been very good at spinning the Pierre is a mini Trump thing.
Yeah.
Although Trump did say that he would rather go against a liberal than go against Pierre Poilievre. So he did more so, I wouldn't say endorse, but said that he would rather face a liberal. And I think a big reason for that was when Justin Trudeau went down to Mar-a-Lago for his inauguration, or one of the dinners, Trump said to him, what would happen if we put a 25% tariff on Canada? And Trudeau responded with, like, our economy would collapse. And that's where this 51st state idea came from, is when Trudeau kind of said, our economy would collapse if we didn't have you as a trading partner that we have right now. And here we are in this kind of mess right now. So it's
it is a mess. What a good word to describe.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So like you were saying, I think it came from you. It's the kind of quote unquote war of the baby boomers against
the boomer. No, we're just millennials and
millennials against the boomers.
The boomers. Yeah.
There's obviously baby boomers and a lot of them that see their kids struggling. And so they understand there needs to be a change and nothing's affordable for their kids. Right. So like my parents see very well, because I obviously we're in real estate, so they know on a day-to-day basis how unaffordable things are. But kids that moved away, went to university, and did end up getting their own house, and they're not so close to our kind of day-to-day life with how many people our age are struggling, even just to put food on the table,
Yeah.
realistically. Maybe, they support more of a liberal approach. And I think that's where the polls are just really bad. Like, you see one poll versus another poll, and they're just so opposite, right? So it's hard to, and you never really trust the polls. Like, the polls
Yeah, you got to wait till game day, to be
yeah,
honest.
you can't even
Because we
trust
saw what
them.
happened with Trump, remember?
You can't trust the polls.
It wasn't even
I don't even
close.
really look at them.
Yeah.
The polls
But
are
one
the
thing
polls.
to note about the polls that is really important is that Jagmeet Singh has honestly been the biggest loser in all of this. He pushed the election off. The NDP were gaining seats. They were doing great. All he had to do was call a non-confidence. And as soon as he called the non-confidence, I didn't call it, but said he was going to call it. Trudeau quickly switched, put Carney in, and a lot of the support that the Liberals lost to the NDP and the Québécois has now returned to the Liberals. So that's kind of where they're getting a lot of support from. I wouldn't say that a lot of people who are going to vote Conservative have flipped
switched.
over.
Yeah.
Obviously there's going
The
to be
support
some
that was
people.
already there is back.
Exactly. So I think that that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. And I've talked to a lot of people, and like, I think a lot of people are of this mindset of like, here's an easy analogy, is that if the Liberals get in again, it's a fourth term for them, right? You feel like the last 10 years, and there's data that we'll get into, have really cheated you, right? They've really gone against you. So this would be their fourth term. So it's kind of like going back to an ex who cheated on you 3 times and just giving them another shot. Like, I hate to say it,
That
because
is a crazy analogy.
I wanted Carney to be this new face of the Liberal Party. Like, that's kind of what I want. I wanted them to come back to the center, because I did vote Liberal in 2015. Come back to the center, because some of the policies were great, but the cabinet that he has behind him is it's the same. It's Chrystia Freeland's in there, Melanie Jolie's in there, Stephen Guilbeault, the environmental crazy guy.
I think he needs to shake it up a little bit more, so that he has more people's faith that, okay, things are going to look different, and you're not just, the Conservatives are putting out media that's, Justin Trudeau handing them the crown to Mark Carney, basically saying it's going to be the same thing. So the media is
just a different face.
The media is ridiculous, but essentially that's where the Conservatives are trying to push the media. Like, hey, there's not going to be much of a change. It's still Liberal. So I think for him to gain even more confidence, he needs to shake it up more and really say, I'm eliciting change. Like, these are the changes of the cabinet, not only the policies. I've seen some policies that he's like, I'm changing this. So he has gotten people's attention with, wow, he's gotten in and he means business. He has a proven track record before, like an impressive resume, like you've said. I think a lot of baby boomers know who he is, whereas millennials don't know who he is.
He would be like our Tiff Macklin in a sense.
Right. So he used to be the governor of the Bank of Canada. Yeah. So if you're a baby boomer, likely you would have heard his name, and he's had a good reputation among them. And then he went and worked in the UK. So he does have an impressive resume, and he is financially, there was a lot of concern around the budget. So I think he's focusing in on that, and he's been able to be a strong, like he did well running the Bank of Canada, being the governor, and the UK. Like, there's
so
not a lot of hate on him from
the UK. He actually, I looked into the UK stuff, and he didn't do a very good job. So Liz Truss at the time was a part of Parliament in the UK for England, and she said that he was way too focused on the climate and printed too much money, and that Canadians should be very, very careful with who they decide to vote for, which I thought was pretty interesting. But it's kind of not, because Mark Carney is a net zero guy. Like, he was a part of the World Economic Forum, which is what I don't think Canada needs right now. And I know he canceled the carbon consumer tax, but he's been an economic advisor since 2020 for the Liberals. So he's been a part of this carbon tax era and all these things. And now it's so funny, because the Liberals, they'll post on Twitter about, carbon tax is canceled. It's like if I burnt down your house and then they came to interview me after, and I was like, yeah, I burnt it down, but I put the fire out. Like, it doesn't, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't really understand the move.
Fire's not going right now.
But it's only on, what it is that he just put the tax to zero. So it's not completely gone. So could he raise it back up? Yeah. But a bigger issue is that there's still going to be a carbon tax on like industrial stuff, which is where all the jobs come from. So if you have Donald Trump down in the States saying, come over here, I'm dropping taxes. And then you have Canada saying, oh, we're increasing taxes. Where do you think the jobs, the business, the money, the economic productivity is going to go. It's not staying here. It's already gone from here.
Have you seen all of those GDP graphs of how productive Canada is?
Yeah.
Per
Do you want to get into
person?
that? Let's talk about that.
Oh
Yeah.
my good, that's sad.
So it's essentially it's a lost decade.
Yeah, it is. That's a good way to describe it.
It truly is. So our GDP per capita, for people that haven't seen the chart, I posted it on our Instagram. In 10 years, our GDP per capita grew 0.5%, not 0.5% per year, 0.5% total.
In 10 years.
And the
That's
States was
insanity.
above 20%. So GDP per
bad.
capita is basically it's the productivity, so the gross domestic product, the productivity of each person.
Yeah.
So the crazy thing to me is that, you know, we've killed all these energy products, and we got to get our head out of the gutter about energy. We killed the pipeline products, we killed the LNG stuff, and emissions globally have just gone up because you have countries like China and India who have people who live in poverty. When you're just trying to pay for groceries or you're just trying to get by, I'm sorry, but you don't care about the climate. Like, I hate to say it. It's more of like a rich person.
Day-to-day, yeah. You're living for the day.
Issue. Yeah. So when you kill these projects like, you know, Trudeau did for so long, because, you know, green stuff was really cool back, 10 years?
It was like a buzzword 10
It was a
years ago.
buzzword. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like,
green
that was it,
energy,
right?
yeah.
Like green energy. We're not going to build pipelines anymore. And it's gotten us into this productivity spiral that's really bad, right? We're not exporting our minerals. We're not sending oil across the country. Like, I've learned so much about energy recently.
Yeah, and that's why I think Trump sees us as, oh my gosh, this country has so much
Potential.
so many resources and potential, because China is very rich on, you know, precious metals, and they have a lot. They're strong in that.
They're good on steel.
They're so strong on precious metals, and that's why I think Trump is like, we need to be right up there with China in terms of our precious metals and resources. That he sees Greenland. You know, there's been talk of Trump, wanting to take Greenland, the Arctic, Canada, because if he assumes all of those, then he's in line with China in terms of resources and precious metals. So I see why he wants that, but to cripple, it almost feels to Canadians like he's coming after us. And I think that's a lot of the reason why people are so unsure, because it's essentially a trade war. Is it going to break out in military war? No.
God, no. We would, I would be like, you can take
Canada would surrender before that even happened. But it is essentially, and it feels like that too, because even the chart that I saw,
you posted
happiness,
it. I think. Yeah. Happiness chart. Yeah. We went from 5th to 18th, I think.
Yeah. And how sad is that?
Sad.
But it's also, you know, I see it on a day-to-day basis. On a day-to-day basis, it's like I see more pessimism than I do optimism. And that doesn't feel, and it.
What about the consumer confidence chart that you posted?
Well, the consumer confidence chart, that's insane. So I posted a chart that essentially measured consumer confidence from 2000 till now. So there was a couple big dips. So one of them was the 2008 financial crisis, which was a major thing in 2008. So consumer confidence went way down. And then another big dip was the start of COVID, which was 2020. Obviously, consumer confidence went way down with the uncertainty. There's a global pandemic. Now it went up a little bit, 2022, when things were cheap and people thought they could afford everything and rates were down. And it's back down in a dip, lower than it was in the 2008 financial crisis and lower than the beginning of COVID, meaning consumer confidence is at an all-time low. I think it even dated probably a little bit previous to 2000.
Lower than COVID.
Lower than COVID.
Was shut
lower
down.
than the financial housing,
crisis.
Right? Like,
that
was a massive
the meltdown in the States was massive.
The stock market crashed. People lost their homes. Like, it was a major thing. And the fact that people are less confident now than those times speaks.
Which has played beautifully into the Liberals' campaign, is that this is the last 10, and I hope people aren't getting fooled by this, but the last 10 years wasn't our fault as being the head. It's Trump's fault. Trump has caused all this pain that we've seen in the economy. And to me, like, we have like, the carbon tax. Remember that got put in. Like, people are more pissed about the 25% tariffs that Trump is threatening. And like, did you know China just put 100% tariffs on canola?
I heard something like that.
Yeah. But we don't even talk about it. Yeah. And it's just like, all we talk about is orange man bad.
It's very media driven.
It's so media driven.
Media driven. Like, you see those like little animated things with people walking the streets head down on their phone and not aware of the things around them. And it's kind of true, because like, I even think part of Trump's and I'm probably going to hear backlash from this, but to cripple the stock market and the economy where it goes way down, the rich companies buy, sell short, all of that, get richer, and then it goes back up. So the rich people stay rich, and then the average citizen is like your sheep, right? That's just looking down at their phone and consuming what you're putting out for them to consume and unaware of the bigger things that are going on. Because realistically, what do people know? They know what they hear in the media.
Yeah.
No, there's no real way to get true answers. And it's politics, right? We realistically don't know what's happening up there.
No, 100%. And like for me, I'm just looking back at everything that's happened in the economy, and it's really hard. But I understand that people are going to have a different opinion than me, and I can live in a world with that.
Yeah, and that's a democracy.
It's a democracy, yeah. The problem is that if you say, like, let's just say, like, I don't know, have you been seeing the Elon Musk stuff with all the Teslas getting destroyed and stuff like that? Yeah. Like, that is horrible. Like, Tesla, just because Elon is doing Doge and he is supporting Trump and you might not agree with it, like, I had to put the sensory mode on my car because I have a Tesla. And it basically takes a photo if someone comes to your car now, because I don't want my car to get keyed. And I bought that car in 2021. And like, people are like, sell it, just go sell it. Like, don't tell me what to do. Like Tesla's an American company that employs American people. And every part of Tesla is 100% made in America. So they don't import anything. Like, they're a vertically integrated company that's really good for Americans. And just because you don't agree with a guy liking Trump doesn't mean you can just go light cars on fire for fun. Like, it's really crazy to me, but we're getting a little bit too into the weeds here. But
desperate people do desperate things, right? You haven't seen in a really long time this much divide between somebody has a different opinion of you and you are full of rage. And that just really speaks to how hurt people are with what has gone on. And there's people on the other side of that maybe, bought right before the COVID peak and then sold and then is sitting on a bunch of, right? So they benefited from it. So there's always two experiences to the same situation, but it's not fun to see. I'm talking to some people that are immigrants and they're like, I've, been an immigrant. They were in the States and then they were in Canada and then she's from Russia. And then I think she went to Turkey and she's like, Canada is by far the worst. Living downtown Toronto, I'm nervous to go outside. And I don't know what part of Toronto, every city is going to have.
Yeah, there's
some
different
rough,
pockets that are
right?
rough.
Every city's going to have some rough parts.
There's some homeless encampments is what's a little rough.
She's scared to go outside. And she's like, I didn't think Canada was going to be like this. And we were taught different things. And so even that is like, sorry. Like, I almost want to apologize because like Canadians are nice.
I know. It's crazy. So my buddy lives in Old Oakville. I think I might have told this story, but he just got his windows filmed. Basically, like, what that means is that there's a protective layer on the inside of the window so that if someone's trying to smash in and break it, it'll take them longer. And he lives in an area where the property taxes are probably like on the low end, 20,000. And for some of these homes, 50,000. So like, just imagine how much, like you said, desperate people have to do desperate things is like,
and it's scary.
And there's security guards driving up and down the street.
I'm lying in bed last night and I hear like running outside because I have the window open. I like sleeping with like a little draft. So I hear running and I'm like, oh my God, is my house up? Right? Oh my God. So, but that's my initial.
That's your initial, because you've heard so many stories now. Right?
Yeah. Instead of like, I don't know, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe people are walking and there's a skunk and they're running away. I don't know. But my brain is like, somebody's going to break in. Okay, let me go investigate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is so sad.
It's so sad. But you know what? Like, the election's coming, and like we said, it's a democracy. So whoever votes, whoever in, that's the fair way. So we'll see Pierre's platform. He's coming out with videos, it seems like, every day. Carney is coming out with some ideas as well. So yeah, we're just here to hopefully like inform you guys of the decisions being made going forward. And yeah, there'll be a lot of them, right? Like, if the election gets called on Sunday, it's going to be a lot to talk about. A lot of debates are going to happen. I wonder how Carney's going to do in a political debate. Like, Pierre you see him in the House of Commons, like, that guy's a bulldog. Yeah. So I think Carney's just getting used to media. So what's he going to do in a debate with Pierre? And if Pierre debates in French, like, maybe there's going to be some stuff there. I know everyone listening to this knows that I lean conservative. So, yes, I am biased. I'm just going to be honest, obviously.
You know what? I always think about these debates now and like the evolution of AI and ChatGPT, that I could put ChatGPT on the phone in my ear and say, respond to this debate.
I know they should actually like check the person's ear before and just.
Right.
And,
it's like it's eventually going to be AI versus AI.
Yeah. Yeah.
In these debates.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting, but it's not like they don't have hair in their ears. So like, it's, you know what, like I remember Kamala had hair over here. So there was a big thing like, oh, she has an earpiece. I don't know if that's true. Like, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
Pierre
But like,
and
even
Carney,
if
you
you
can
think
see
about the Elon Musk's microchip in your brain,
it.
like,
I
like things
know.
like that. My dad always says, yeah, like in 30 years, you're going to have Google in your brain. We're going to say, oh my God, you actually had to go to a computer and use Google. Like now you just use your brain, which is like, I'm like, I don't, that's weird. I don't want to think about that.
Just quickly here. Do you use Google? I don't even use it anymore. I
Um,
literally use, for the most part, it's like Twitter has Grok, which is like ChatGPT. I just ask questions there all the time.
well, Google has integrated an AI, which actually is wrong all of the time. We were laughing at it the other day. It was like, that does not make sense at all. So
Oh, really?
obviously it's a little bit
It's a little
behind,
bit
but if you
behind. Yeah.
Google something, AI pops up right
Oh,
away.
does it?
And I Google ChatGPT gives you way better answers than Google does.
So you ChatGPT it.
Yeah, but no, I still am a Google user.
Still a Google girl?
Yeah, I would say I am. But AI answers the question on Google. Actually, however, I Googled something, I forget what it was, and AI gave me an answer. And I'm like, I don't know if I like trust that. And ChatGPT gave me a different one. So I'm like, okay, Google's AI, you do me wrong once.
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah, you're done. So
Okay, cool. All right, let's pivot to housing. So, Carney came out with an idea about housing. So he wants to remove the GST on newly built homes for first-time home buyers. So it's pretty much the same thing that Pierre said in late 2024. But Pierre didn't say specifically it was first-time buyers. He just said for any home under $1 million, they're going to remove the GST on it, or HST. So there is that. So Carney's kind of having a housing push. It
but
seems
is that
very,
new houses?
it's only new houses.
That
Yeah.
doesn't mean crap.
So it has to do with the developer, right? Paying the HST. That's my understanding. So if the developers are willing to pull that out of the purchase price will become cheaper. So basically the developer's paying less tax, therefore they can sell the home cheaper to the end consumer.
Where
Because
are their homes being built?
that's
Where are
housing
their
starts
new houses.
housing starts are dramatically down. You are right with that. Yes, you are right. And
Like excellent. Taxes removed on houses that
that
we're not building.
being built. Yeah. So there is some tax exemptions for purpose-built rentals. So you've seen a lot of purpose-built rentals get built, especially in the city. But yeah, like you and I can definitely attest to this. The market is very slow.
Dead in the water.
Yeah. It's not.
It's slower than
moving.
ever.
Yeah. There's a few things that are moving. Like my listing, you were like, you're the only one getting showings on it. Yeah.
This listing is
It's
popping off,
but it's in a good area of
Yeah.
Oakville, and the house shows
but it's
to the
priced
nines. Yeah.
at 1.7 or something.
175. Yeah.
So even getting 20 showings on that, 20 people have a budget of that. So there's another side to the coin. We just said nobody can afford anything, and people are out shopping for 1.6.
It's not true. You're right. That's a good point. Some people in this country are very insulated from interest rates
Totally.
because they've made a lot of money. Like if you look at old
If you bought a
Oakville,
house 15 years ago, you're fine.
yeah. Like even there's a lot of people with a lot of wealth. So like even my buddy works and does like the 5 million plus stuff in Oakville, and it's moving. Like he sold a $7.5 million one in one day. So that hasn't slowed down. But we've seen the Bank of Canada cut 25 basis points, and it doesn't even make headlines anymore because there's just so much more other stuff going on. And one note here is that inflation went up to 2.6%. It was supposed to be 2.2. And a big reason for that was the HST, GST thing during the holidays that Trudeau brought in, remember? So that inflation was like 1.8. It was like, oh, we're looking good. And then once that came back into effect,
It'll come back down though.
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
There's a lot of different metrics to inflation. Like there's core inflation, there's seasonal
A
inflation.
big thing in the inflation reading was housing costs, so mortgage interest costs and rent. So I think it's a lagging indicator, most economists say. So that should come down in time. But yeah, like rates it's not going back to COVID rates. And what are we at right now? It's like, how much lower are we going to go?
It always blows my mind that housing costs, so mortgage interest cost, is in the inflation reading. And to get inflation down, you raise the interest, which in turn raises inflation. So you're fighting inflation with inflation. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. You have to increase.
Increasing rates helps inflation go down. But actually, if that's a major
on the long run,
yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. But yeah, like the market is, at least for Brooke and I in the GTA, it seems like, and when you look at the data, the number of homes being sold is going down. So especially condos are feeling it. I do know that freehold is doing better than the condominium market. There's just more supply with condos. And I feel like a lot of people aren't willing to purchase condos or invest in them because the numbers aren't working. When you add in the maintenance fee and the taxes, they obviously were a really good driver during COVID because of how cheap rates were. But they're just not that kind of desirable anymore. So yeah, like you and I were talking about what do I think is going to happen this year. I think as more supply hits the market, the inevitable is that the people that are going to have to sell are going to have to drop their prices and we will see prices fall. And this is for the GTA. I don't know about other provinces. This is just where I live. So
yeah, it's hard to get to the ending in a sale if you're nothing special and there's a ton like you.
yeah, I agree. And this idea of immigration slowing down, people leaving Canada, it doesn't help the rental market too. So
Rental market's even slow, which is
oh
wild.
my God.
Where is everybody?
Vacancy is
Where is
up.
everybody?
Vacancies are
Oh my
up.
gosh.
Units are up. I rented 2 out in the last couple of weeks and we had to do price drops.
Oh yeah.
I can't even remember doing price drops on
On a
rentals.
rental.
Yeah.
No.
Like I was like, I had to like almost treat it like a listing. I was like, I need to put a new photo up front and drop the price.
That's so crazy.
And it works. There's going to be someone who wants to rent something out at any price. You just got to be realistic. Like I just hate to say, if you're sitting around waiting, it's just not going to come. Like even one of them, we dropped $50. It's not a lot, but I'm like, look, we put a new. It does something. It does. And then we just got a tenant in there today, so it worked out great. But yeah, I don't know, guys. I think that there's a lot going on, especially with this election. But I feel like after the election, we should get a lot more clarity on a 4-year mandate of who's coming in, what they're going to do. And I think that some of this Trump stuff hopefully will kind of fizzle out, and hopefully he won't put the tariffs that he said he's going to put on us. I know he's implemented some like on steel and aluminum, but hopefully that's it for now. And we can keep this train rolling. Hopefully we get more pipelines built and more LNG projects built so we can have more exporting partners other than just the US. I think we've really handicapped ourselves there. But in terms of what I think is going to happen in the real estate market, I think probably prices are going to fall on a national level, not just in the GTA.
How much do you think they're going to fall?
It's a good question. I don't want to answer that just now. I want to see. Okay. I want to see what happens after this month. Yeah. Because we're kind of in this spring market.
Typically, things pick up in April. Typically, we see just a rise in demand. People are more apt to move in the spring versus the winter. Yeah. The sun makes people.
The sun gets people out. I know it sounds insane, but it does.
Wanting to spend money, and that's historically what happens. Is April to May is typically a realtor's busy season.
So it'll be a huge indicator.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be a huge indicator to see.
We keep saying like the spring market because there is pent up demand. Sales have been very low for a long time. Mm-hmm. They have.
Yeah.
Year over year.
Is it pent up demand or is it going to be pent up supply? That's a big question I have. Is how many people are waiting for April to list?
Are we in a supply crisis though? If there's so much supply, so then it's a matter of affordability, then not supply.
Incomes have not kept up to prices. That's a big thing that I think a lot of people aren't looking at, is that incomes have not kept up. So like, I don't know. I saw this one guy post something. He was like, do we have too much supply? Are we, but it was
oh my God.
It was like condos though. And I'm like, you got to understand that like, we don't have an abundant supply of 3-bedroom townhouses. Right. That's something that people really desire. Yeah. And is really popular, not only Toronto, but the outskirts. It's because you can have a family, you have a little backyard, you own a piece of land. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm interested to see. I love it. I'm on board for this. Let's see where it goes. Excited for the election coming up. It's way better it's happening now than in October. And yeah, like always, we're going to keep you guys updated. And yeah, look, this is a pretty political episode. So you guys obviously know where I stand. And I do consume CBC and liberal media. I do want to hear the other side. So I do consume both.
I did hear a quote. So if you strongly believe in something, look for reasons that challenge your opinion rather than confirm your opinion. Yeah. Actively seek out why you're wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I like that.
I like that too. It's
Yeah.
it's a good thing to look for.
Yeah.
So far, I haven't found anything. No, I'm just joking.
That's so funny.
But yeah, again, it's, politics can be heavy. You can break up families. And
Oh man.
don't let that happen to you. Just, do your own research, see what is best for you. And for God's sakes, like, please, as young people, you got to get out there and vote. We can't have a 45% turnout like we had in Ontario. So bad. Like, you have the right to vote. Like, just get out there. Like, I'm pretty sure companies let you leave if you have to vote. Like, you can get out of work. So especially young people, if we want change, we don't want another 4 years of what we've had. If you believe that, you got to get out and vote in this coming election. Even if you vote early, you can vote early. Yeah. You can get it done. So anyways, we'll be pushing this message. You got anything else?
That is all.
Thanks for everything, guys. We appreciate it. We're going to post a lot more reels. We just had a week off. We're just busy with work. Yeah, if you guys want to work with us too, and you're in kind of the GTA area, just click that second link in the description. It's going to be a Calendly. It's completely free. You just see if we're a good fit for you guys. We've been trying to post more of our solds too on our Instagram, so follow us there. And yeah, let's see where this election goes. Comment down below who you vote for, who you support, and what we might be saying that's wrong. But other than that, we will see you next week. Take care.